Just like Joe Biden, the U.S. economy is sick once again, Michael Snyder reports. When you look at Joe Biden, you're also getting a visual picture of what is happening to our economy as a whole. Both have been getting artificially propped up for a long time. Both are now sick once again, and both are starting to decline very rapidly at this point. There is a lot of speculation that Joe Biden is not going to be able to make it much longer. And of course, the exact same thing could be said about the US economy. Sadly, the truth is that the clock won't stop ticking and time is not on the side of either one of them. On Wednesday, we learned that Joe Biden has once again tested positive for COVID. President Joe Biden tested positive for COVID 19 following an event Wednesday in Las Vegas, the White House confirmed. This is the third time the president has tested positive for the virus, and Biden is not alone. The positivity rates for COVID 19 have been increasing recently, as have visits to the emergency departments and deaths. Biden, 81, is vaccinated and boosted and is experiencing mild symptoms, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement. The White House is trying to make it sound that it's not a big deal, but Biden certainly did not look like he was experiencing mild symptoms when he arrived in Delaware on Wednesday night. The 81-year-old whose political future is in jeopardy due to his age, walked very slowly off Air Force One, pausing multiple times. He then put on a mask on inside the black SUV that carted him off to his beach house in Delaware. Biden also appeared to need some assistance as he was slowly nudging himself into the car before the motorcade pulled away. Of course, this is happening at a time when speculation that Biden could drop out of the race has reached a fever pitch. Axios is reporting that some top Democrats believe that Biden could make an announcement as soon as this weekend. Several top Democrats privately tell us the rising pressure of party congressional leaders and close friends will persuade President Biden to decide to drop out of the presidential race as soon as this weekend. Personally, I don't know, Michael Snyder says, if Biden is ready to throw in the towel quite yet, but we shall see what happens. In the meanwhile, more bad economic news continues to pour in. For example, we're being told that home eviction filings are way up all over the nation. Home evictions are on the rise in several major cities nationwide as Americans continue to grapple with the ongoing cost of living crisis. Eviction filings over the past year are up more than 15% compared with the period before the COVID-19 pandemic began in 10 cities across the country, according to the Eviction Lab, a research unit at Princeton University. The Eviction Lab tracks 10 states and 34 cities. However, the problem is noticeably worse in 5 cities where the eviction rate is at least 30% higher than it was before the pandemic started. Whether someone is seeking to rent or buy, housing costs have soared into unprecedented territory. And this is one of the biggest reasons why so many Americans are so deeply frustrated with the economy right now. According to Fox Business, the median monthly housing payment for the home buyers in swing states has risen 92% since the last presidential election. The cost of buying a house has surged in recent years as high mortgage rates and rising home prices put ownership out of reach for many Americans. The problem is even worse for the millions living in key battleground states that could determine the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. New findings from Redfin show the combination of steep mortgage rates and elevated home prices has pushed the median monthly housing payment for home buyers in swing states to an all-time high of $2,161. That's a 92% increase from the 2020 election, 92%. This is going to have an enormous impact on how people vote, and that's not good news for the Democrats at all. At the same time, banking industry problems continue to mount, and local branches continue to be shut down at a staggering pace. U.S. banks closed 28 branches across the country in just 1 week in July. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank each closed 8 locations in the last week. The remaining locations were closed by Greenville Fed, Chase, and Schaumburg Bank and Trust, and who each closed 1 branch. Watch the banking industry, because I believe that this will eventually become a huge story during the months ahead. Retailers are permanently shutting down lots of locations too. In fact, Stop and Shop just announced that they will be closing 32 grocery stores. Stop and Shop is closing 32 underperforming grocery stores across the U.S. Northeast as part of the company's efforts to improve its financial performance. Shoppers are also being squeezed by higher prices at the grocery store, with food prices experiencing modest pickups last month, according to the newest inflation report. Stop and Shop has evaluated its overall store portfolio and made the difficult decision to close underperforming stores to create a healthy base for the future growth of our brand, said the chain's president Gordon Reed in a release. Needless to say, that is not even worth comparing to what Walgreens is getting ready to do. The plan is to shutter more than 2,000 Walgreens locations before it's all over, and that is really bad news for those who have come to depend upon that chain. Shoppers, it may be time to find a new pharmacy. Walgreens is closing up to a quarter of its 8,600 stores in the United States. Walgreens CEO Tim Wentworth recently explained to the Wall Street Journal on June 27 that the closures would focus on locations that are not profitable, too close to each other, or stores struggling with theft. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning, because vast hordes of businesses are likely to go belly up during the coming years. According to one recent survey, almost half of all small businesses are convinced that they will not survive the current economic climate, ongoing inflation, and another 4 years of Biden administration policies. Nearly half of 80,000 small businesses surveyed say that they will not survive the current economic climate, ongoing inflation, or another 4 years of Biden administration policies, according to the survey conducted by Red Balloon and Public Square. Their May Freedom Economy Index found that small businesses remain in survival mode, with 40% delaying paying bills to manage cash flow and 70% putting staffing plans on hold, neither hiring nor reducing staff, the highest reading over the past year, the report states. We are in far more trouble than most people realize. I've been documenting the ups and downs of our inevitable economic decline for more than a decade, and now we have reached a stage where that decline is threatening to become an avalanche. So I would encourage you to brace yourself for very hard times, because it has become clear that this is a story that is not going to end well. Michael Snyder reports on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.